if you are the minister and you know there are rogue elements in police service, why just don't act? Why you just don't act? You see, they have been sending out this message from time and time again. All the Minister of National Security, as far as I could remember, for the last couple of years, have been saying that all the time. Nobody wasn't dismissed. Nobody wasn't charged. Right? And they just keep saying that and sending out this negativity about the police officers who are sacrificing their lives on a daily basis to protect these same parliamentarians and their family.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing about it. I mean, it seems as though I'm given the responsibility now to try to put a dent in something. And of course, I don't think we have much expectation, because if you couldn't do it in almost 10 years, I mean, really and truly, what can you do now? But one would think that they would have a sense of listen, this is the direction that we want to go in. We want to get to those criminal elements rather than focusing on the men and women of the TTPS. And I have to ask you, at this particular time, looking at what's unfolding with former Superintendent Roger Alexander, what is the morale like, if you had to guess, in the TTPS at this time?
Well, I'm not guessing. The morale is very high because they just cannot wait for Alexander to win his seat. And based on the mini manifesto on crime that was presented by the Honorable Leader of the Opposition, Ms. Kamala Pasabishasa, and soon to be the Prime Minister, right now she has about 60 points. Yes, where the national security concern in this country lies. And I worked with Alexander in Tunapuna yesterday, and the reception was very, very good. Me, Alexander, and Mr. Japona worked together. And I think that's a great message to people in this country. When we look at the security apparatus, and you're seeing people with experience like that, I don't think anybody can really question that. Although people will make all kind of allegations at this time, with this, according to the people, this silly season. I don't like to use these kind of words, but people just look for negative things to say, right? So we saw it unfold, and Alexander have a lot of support, and I am in total agreement with this manifesto that I read that was presented by the UNC leader. And the first thing come to my mind was you passed the law for stand your ground, where people could feel safe in their home. People living like they're living in jail now. People afraid to go to the supermarket. They're afraid to park the car. They're afraid to go in the gas station. They're afraid to send their children to school. Mikey, I'm not one of the person who talk, I did this and I do that and I do this and the other thing, you know what, thing. But when I was in Central Division, Mikey, I used to make people feel safe and comfortable because I used to have police vehicle at strategic location, and the response time used to be so quick that you wouldn't want to believe. And my officers have to keep the glass down in the vehicle, stop and talk to people on the side of the road, give them your telephone number. Some people say, well, that's my personal number, I'm not giving it. Nonsense. I used to go in meeting all over Central Canada or wherever I go, and I will tell the audience my telephone number. I have nothing to hide. Right? And I see she promised to create a new offense for home invasion.
Yes.
And then some of the most important thing that I would really like to see happen as quickly as possible is the right for people to bear firearms, that people who are qualified and so on after proper training, like something like when you're going for driving test, you do a proper training and you get certification by experts, you could have a good opportunity to get your firearm faster. Then to increase the complements of the municipal police, that's a very good idea. And introducing police in the school full time. And this is the next thing I would like to see happen almost immediately, that special reserve officers to be absorbed into the Canada Bago Police Service. Now, Mikey, remember I worked on that ground for 40 years, and some of my best officers were special reserve officers. No, you will take civilians from on the street because they have 5 subjects, and you will put them to the bar to do a 6 months training. However, when they are successful, these same persons that get trained in the bar will come outside sometimes for 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 years, then they catch on to the job. Yeah, they have special reserve officers working in that same system for 20, 15, 20 years, and they have so much knowledge, just like the regular police officers. I am saying, and I will lobby for that, for the Honorable Prime Minister, Mr. Kamala, once she gets into power, I will lobby to make sure that these special reserve officers find proper placement into the regular service. No, Mikey, there are special reserve officers who have 20, 25 years service. And you know when these officers retire, they don't have no sort of benefit to get. They don't have no lump sum to get.
That's true, yeah.
They have to wait until they reach 65 years to get the old age pension. Same thing like the army. I saw in one of the promises that the age of the soldiers will be increased to just like that of the protective services of the police.
Yeah, and you know, Mr. Abraham, I thought that made so much sense to increase the retirement age for the Trinidad and Tobago Defense Force, to align it with other arms of the protective services, because you've seen men coming out at 42, 43, and I mean, really, when in fact that they still have a lot to offer.
And here the thing, would you believe that most of these officers who retire from the army at that early age come back into the special reserve section?
Yeah.
And if they retire at that age and they didn't make officer any work, they have no gratuity, no set of money to collect. They have to wait until they reach 65 years just as anybody else to get pension. And I find that totally unfair to people, because you have some able-bodied men who was in the army and they're walking around, some of them walking around aimlessly because they didn't find employment, and some of them may not like to be special reserve officers. You could leave them in the army until they reach that retirement age of 50 and 55 to 60.
Okay. Also, too, when she spoke about to implement laws to prevent incarceration of non-violent drug offenders, which we know as addicts or whatever, because I mean, I think these people need more help than just being locked away.
Well, all right, and that's making so much sense, because you're holding a man for one weed, one marijuana cigarette, smoking in public, and that man going to be incarcerated for at least 6 or 7 months because you don't have money to pay the fine. Whereas you could give that same man or woman community service to do for a couple of hours, and you know, you try to rehabilitate them by putting them into a program. Just also they have to report to the station when you commit that crime on your day. You put them to report to a center where they will sit down and do some counseling for at least 2 hours or 3 hours, as the case might be, for a period of time. When you put them inside there and they become hardened criminal, because you see what's going on in jail now, murder taking place in the jail now.
Yeah.
Inside the jail, there's a frightening situation. And then you hear talking about drone and drone and drone. Well, if 5, 10 years you're talking about the drone flying over the prison, what has been done to prevent that? Nothing. Nothing. Where are the jammers they promised? People, listen, the man that was kidnapped, the young boy that was kidnapped, from Enterprise, and he was found buried up in somewhere up in the forest up in Diego Martin. That call came from the jail, because a man who was in jail had been charged for that murder. Now, when he was incarcerated, when this scenario was unfolding with the kidnapping, he was given direction from in the jail. Where are the jammers? Why they don't do like long ago and put back telephones inside the jail, and you allow the inmate to use it to communicate to their family? Then you have an officer sit down right there like long time, listening to the conversation.
Yeah.
Why did they do it?
I think there's too much technology available that one could put these things in place and manage it. I think this is all about the proper means of managing the situation. Now, there's also to provide diploma, undergraduate, and postgraduate degrees in policing for recruits, combined with a police apprenticeship program. I think that's only right. Too many times we've seen senior officers go on pre-retirement leave only to prepare themselves to enter in some capacity into the private sector, or they benefit from some sort of schooling or program. What happens then to the subordinates? Where's the motivation and incentive there that they too could get some sort of training so it can help promote them and have a better understanding of the job?
Well, Mikey, you wouldn't want to believe me. For the first 2 years, I really had a banker when I leave this work. You know why? Civilian will call me for advice, and police officers, up to now, they just still call me after 9 years I retire, and I just be so glad to help these people. And why I had a little banker for that 2 years until I get over it is because I was still feeling part and parcel of that system. Right? And Mikey, I used to, people have talked about don't micromanage and don't do this. The only how you can get things done properly, proper supervision, proper leadership, I feel is by micromanaging. Alright, for example, you watch the Chinese men and the Chinese owners of the supermarket and stores and so on. They will sit down by that cash register right there and ensure that everything is being done to the letter. And that is how they see progress in their activities. Look at next thing. You imagine that right now information received, it is alleged that the recycling bulletproof vest to give to the police, meaning that the vest that was expired from information received from senior officers who went to collect bulletproof vests recently, they were turned back and said, listen, we don't have no bulletproof vest to give you all, but we have some expired one based on information that they recycling to give the reputed person out.
Wow.
How in heaven's sake that could make sense? How? And is a lot of things have to be addressed. No, I spoke about all the calls they're making in China from any part of China going to the 999 command center in James. And then it has to be relayed back to the station concerned where the crime happened.
Right.
And my thing was, you see people have talked about green technology, with new technology and all kind of thing. Nonsense! Long ago, if you live in the Tabakit area and you dial 999, you're getting the Brasso station, which is close proximity to where you live. You live in the Grand Cuba area, you dial 999, you get Grand Cuba police. You live Cuba, you dial 999, you get Cuba police. Because guess what? You call it from your car, they say, hey, 5 men jump a wall and they have firearm and more something, and then you're speaking to the operator up in the command center in St. James, right? And they were asking about 55 questions. What color clothes they have on? How much people you seen? You're sure they have firearm? Which part you live in? Give me a landmark. How long this thing happened? You place security high. Alright. All of that. And then the command center now will have to call New York police. And God help us if they get to one or two calls to the station. Until they get to that station, they have to relay the same information that the informant give them here. You proceed to number so-and-so place, Naparima Mayaro Road, 5 men on premises, armed with firearm, the victim so-and-so, location so-and-so. So you see, in that time, you had them commit a home invasion, a crime, kill people, and you reach almost Mayaro. And the police now getting that information in a delay, man. That's not making no sense, Mikey. But we're going to deal with all these shortcomings. And I say we because I will put my best foot forward to assist in whatever way I can assist. And I'm not making no joke about that. You know the other night when I say we don't want the criminal in Trinidad and we don't want them to be go there to live in the hand, meaning all nonsense done. And you know as a man don't talk, I just do my work. I just walk that wrong. When I tell you something is something, I mean, I used to go on TV and tell criminals, don't come central. Nothing no intimidating way. But I will stand and message to them and tell them, don't come here and commit no crime.
We're also looking at implement an ankle bracelets and house arrest systems with updated legislation. Again, making sense.
Yeah.
The revamping of the witness protection program. You and I spoke about that several times. There are a lot of people who don't have any confidence in that program. So, when you get on a scene, when police arrive on the scene, nobody saw, nobody heard anything, nobody was witnessing, because that system itself has failed for all these years. So it'll be good to see some sort of revamping of the witness protection program.
Mikey, and that is I give that 1,000% thumbs up. You know why? I was in charge of homicide from Mova to Toko to Tableland. That is northern, northeastern, and eastern, and that comprises of about 50 stations, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes you go to a murder scene. I won't call no place to stigmatize nobody, but sometimes you go to a murder scene and his family know who killed your loved one. And for fair reprisal, they wouldn't tell you. So what I used to do when I go on the crime scene, I say I don't want to know what this man involved in. I'm speaking loud and clear for everybody to hear on the scene. I don't want to know what this man was involved in. I want to know who killed this man. And then you find some people who come and talk to you. No. When I was in homicide up in our gas station there, like, you won't want to believe this. I mind 2 witnesses in that station. In St. Joseph and Aruka station, give them a little room to stay in. For months upon months, almost a year, 2 years in a night, providing them with money and protection. Right, that was given to me by a former commissioner of police and listen, because we had these people as main witnesses and they had nowhere to live. Right, some of them used to go, 1 or 2 people I know went into the program, and it was so stringent that they couldn't take that lockdown there. I remember the witnesses that give evidence against Dole Cherry. Right? I mean, it's dead and gone and everything back to normal. Used to see St. James in the police barracks in a little house there for months upon months until the trial done. And police had to escort their family to school, wherever, and bring them back safe. No. You have committed police officers. Committed, I'm not saying they don't have any now. But those days was a different kind of leadership in the service. You understand? And Mikey, we have to get back on the ground to make sure that all these things that we spoke about is being implemented and properly managed. The main thing is management. We have everything, we have everything in place, but management needs to improve. You have to have a hands-on approach. According to the long-time people, you walk the floor, you know what's going on. You have some serious officer will come to work and stay upstairs and try to go home, they just come downstairs and they're gone. They don't know who working downstairs, they don't know if they have a sentry, they don't know how much patrol outside because they designate that to other people. But you, as you stop at the head there, you want to make sure it is done. I used to go to work in the morning sometime, Mikey, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock. You will find 20 people sit down there they come to see me this senior soup because they have problem with Freeport Station, Vancouver, wherever. I used to call the sergeant direct and say, listen, I'm sending that X by you, and I want you, sergeant, to deal with these people and give me feedback right away. And I just tell the people, I said, don't book the people when they come in the station and they come here and they'll follow. Do not book them. I used to sit down in my office for 1 hour. I used to write on 45 or 50 firearms file, the file for the court, whatever other documents are sent to the commissioner office, and Mikey will want to believe me, God here, anyway, I sit down here. I used to jump in a police vehicle, sometimes in Mr. William calls me a little straw hat, or if I'm in uniform and I'm sitting to go, and I'm driving myself. I don't want no driver. I'm wasting manpower. I driving myself. Chasing vehicle, everything for myself. And here, I will go outside with my tactical officers from 10 o'clock in the morning, 11 o'clock, and we going till 12 o'clock in the night, 1 o'clock. Non-stop patrolling. Where you hear the officers saying, hey, the regulation says we can't work more than 4 hours patrol and 3 hours. Long ago, we had an old Land Cruiser with little window by your foot. We have to open to get air and vent because you don't have no air conditioning in every vehicle. We used to leave Shogwana Station, pass through Town Road, go to Talpa Road, come to La Hocketa, come down Caronian New Road, come down Kunuke, back up Shogwana, down to Taxambe, hit the highway, come back up and make it anti-clockwise again patrolling. When you come in the station, you're tired because you're outside almost all day. Right? And these are the things we have to see people committed. They must be committed and they must be reinforcement. They must get a proper salary.
Well, that's my point there, Mr. Abraham. That's the point that I want to get at here because there must be some incentive, something to motivate these officers because you're going to find people working just good enough not to be fired, but good enough to remain hired. But it's not like how it was long ago, as you made it quite clear. You had people who were committed, dedicated. They felt that there was a sense of purpose, what they were doing. Now, I want to say now at 4%. I mean, come on, you want to make sure that you clock out and go home to your loved ones, putting your life on the line, and where people don't even seem to care about what's going on with you. That's not going to work. So you're talking about implementing things that is going to change that culture.
Yeah, Mikey, not people that don't care. No, the government and the day don't care. Let me tell you why. People got 4%. We got 14% on this camera. People get 4% in this gas meeting here, right?
Right.
One a red brick to build a house was about 75 cents in those days in 2015. And that same red brick now, one red brick was costing almost $7 to $8. So when you get a 4% increase over that period of time from 2013 to 2016 or whenever, what sense are they making to this? But they let them keep the money, same thing like the divers. These divers, they offer the divers $1 million compensation. And I am sure from the time these people died in the pipe almost 2 years ago, that the family must almost spend $1 million on their own. Seeing about the children, the deceased children, sending them to school, making sure they're comfortable, sending them to the doctor for counseling, and all of that. You guilty. What the family know, I get some placard and I go down strong in front of the parliament, whatever, and I say, let's keep all your money and use it for campaigning. Don't bring that nonsense by me. You can't pay, you cannot pay for a right. But at the same time, you must be reasonable. Look at how much money was spent in that commissioner inquiry. Why they didn't call in the family and say, listen, accident has happened. We're very sorry. We're not accepting liability because it was an accident. Everybody knows an accident happened, right? However, instead of keeping a commissioner inquiry, we don't know what happened for the man was survived. We don't know what happened. People was reluctant to really go down into the situation to see they could save anybody. However, all you hold up 5 million each to up 10 million each. Right? We're not saying that we're guilty or anything, but we're saying hold up for the loss of the loved one. Look at the man who's gone down with the rig was full. Up to now, you're not hearing nothing on the news from nobody making a statement. What about the Coast Guard that gone down in the submarine there the other day? Nothing, you're not hearing nothing. Nothing, you're not hearing. The family are alone grieving. These are the things we have to change, Mikey. Police officers were murdered in the execution of their duty. Right? You will find the witness and support unit going by the house and hugging them up when the thing now happens. And after 14 days pass and the funeral done. Right now, I could call people name right now, but I wouldn't do it to expose them. That the witness and support unit of the police service never go back by the people's house to look for them after the funeral. Never. So all these things have to change. And I am praying and hoping and asking the Almighty God to let Auntie Kamala win this election, to make her the Prime Minister, and know that she's going to deliver on all the promises she make. Because in that 5 years' time, she did a lot of things that people now want to realize. Some people don't want to realize. They're putting their head in the sand and saying, she did a lot of good things.
You know, one of the things that stands out here, Mr. Abraham, is to provide personal licensed firearms to active TTPS officers and prison officers. I don't know, and every right-thinking citizen has a problem with why this couldn't be done. You know, it seemed as though it was all good for the good old boys. You had those who were driving around in fake police vehicles. They have gun because there's friend of this one and friend of that one. But you have people whose role, whose job is to make sure and secure the citizens of this country, and they can't even get a fire.
Mikey, nothing matter as security citizens in this country. No. You picture yourself in a shootout. When I was a young police, and we were in shootouts and so on, people died and so on, and you're coming home in the night, I used to live in the countryside, no electricity, nothing. I could not have, I didn't get proper rest at all. Every little thing you hear, you're jumping. No firearms. Now it's the same thing now. And now it's even worse. Imagine 5 men lie down in a van opposite the Sochi station with AR-15 And then you could imagine it's 7.62. That shooting at 2-3 miles straight in the Mikey. Right? Now, hear me. These officers put in their lives to protect the parliamentarians of this country. Right? From the president, the prime minister, come down, the CJ, everybody wants protection. Who protecting the police officer when he leaves duty and after handing firearm? And I am saying, you do proper background check on these officers to make sure they're mentally stable and whatever.
Right.
And you give police firearms, you give prison officers, you give all the soldiers, members of the protective services, you make sure you give them, you know why? They could be called upon any time to go into a situation, and more than that, houses for these people in the development. If they get the 10% that was promised to them, when you put this 10% the security officers or whatever section into this housing development, it becomes less waiting with crime and criminals because you have a lot of officers inside there living. Right? Look right now, I passed yesterday by these Prince in 500. You see them, about 150 workers painting all kind of things in the rain, trying to finish it out like they want to hand it out for the election. They say, well, look what we do. For how long them things? And to me, I'm not even going there because I still am building them was the structure was here strong as daily 10 years. That building going in the rain and sun. So I'm just showing you something that these police officers are all about prison officers, army officers, everybody know. You find one or two persons get killed, although they have a license firearm, they didn't get time to pull it. That is why you have to know about your feet. You have to know your surrounding at all times. No. When these people traversing all about police, prison officers, you name it, and they have a license firearm, and they see something happen, they will tend to take action. Right? If three of them moving in a little group like me or something some way, and something happening, they know that they have a proper defense for themselves, that they could protect their life, and they know my quicker take action before the police and after duty come there. And it has instances where it happened in China that policemen on their way home or wherever it is, and they see something, they could take action. And I could tell you something for myself, I don't want to sound like some people that say I do this and I do that. You know how much time I drop my wife on the highway, taking her to work, we had a little roti shop, and dropping she on the highway when I see bandits, kind of hurry while left and left and I see the car on the highway, just drop shit and turn around and start to follow them with my personal vehicle. Because why? I was armed. Some people might say I'm stupid or whatever it is, but that was just the adrenaline start to flow from the time you see that situation happen. I agreed to go in a Christmas dinner already, a man with a fireman on spot. Well, God forbid, I don't know if you run across it from the car, you get bounced, but before long, and the fire was retrieve the fire. I think you run across the part of the car, yeah. So, Mikey, I just show you, when you still have a little side down, you could feel a little more powerful, because you're a trained person, you're using this to defend people's lives, and you have to get one to defend your own life and your family life. You know what police officer will feel, or a prison officer, whoever living in that community, and somebody come knocking on the door, hey, bandit in your house, baby. And you have to tell them, well, let me call the police because why? He can't respond. He cannot respond, Mikey. Mikey, we could talk all night, but we have to make a difference when the 20th of April comes. We have to make a difference once we get into that power.
Johnny, I want to thank you so much for taking time out this Sunday evening to link with us here. You are so correct. And many of these things and many of these other initiatives, I hope that we do get a chance to talk about it again before the general elections. Parent patrols in school, anti-bullying app. It's an anonymous anti-bullying app for students to make reports. You know, the school system, because many of us have seen those videos and ask yourself, my goodness, these young people, what are they going to school for? Is it about the fighting? Is it about these other activities that one has to question what's going on? Where did they come from? What home? You know, how would they? So, I mean, really and truly, there has to be a big focus on this, and I want to say that the UNC has done so by putting a very heavy emphasis on the school system and the protection of students. Again, I want to thank you. Any closing comments? Go ahead.
I just want to add one thing to that. same scenario. You see parents who leaving to go to the school to beat students and teachers, they must be arrested immediately and charged. And it must become a non-bailable offense. Because when they do that, they're sending a message to the children, it's okay to fight in the school, man. Right or wrong. And we must send a strong message to them. You cannot go in the school to beat no teacher and just up like no student to beat another student for your children. They have means to deal with this thing. And these parents must be arrested and charged one time. I don't care what people say about me. Lock them up. No bail. Let them stand the full consequence for it. When that message is sent, you'll find that them thing will die down. They will die down. Look at some video you're looking at mine. Sometimes I don't even want to watch it, Mikey, because my blood will scroll and I study other people's children. You understand? You imagine you go to school and you have to study when you reach by the school, get to meeting a child in one piece. You're sending them to school in the morning. Son, be safe. If anything happens run by the principal office, all of that, you going to work now, you can't concentrate because you're studying your child in school.
Yeah.
All right. So, Mikey, let's hope that everything will work out in favor of the UNC, and we will make a difference in this country that people will imagine where this person come from to do that and carry this country forward.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure having you on.
Yeah, thanks again, Mikey, and thanks to all the listeners. Some people will make comments, good comments, some will make bad comments, but I, Johnny Abraham, don't care about who make comments.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Johnny.
Donald Trump's chaos is driving up prices as Governor Josh Gottheimer will stand up to Donald Trump, fighting to protect Medicare and Social Security and expanding the child tax credit for Jersey.
Everybody voting now, voting UNC. Yeah. Voting for the party that have love and unity. Yeah. Everybody voting now, voting UNC. Yeah. Voting for the party that have love and unity. Everybody voting now, voting UNC. Voting for the party that can help you and me. Everybody voting now. On election day, we vote in UNC.
Yeah.
Anti-gambler, they're not going back. PNM at a crack. 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 They bully we for 10 whole years. They mash up we foreign affairs. They had the whole country living in fear. And now they want we put them back for 5 more years. They're not going back. PNM at a crack. 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 We fed up on them. We fed up on them. Vote out the PNM. We fed up on them. When UNC win, everybody win. When UNC win, everybody win. Tell them they're not going back. PNM at a crack. They're not going back. PNM at a crack. Like a picture Begonians for clown. Your leader stepped down cause he lost the drum. And down we throat, you pushed out young. On April 28th, we taking back we tongue. They're not going back. PNM at a crack. 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 We fed up on them. We fed up on them. Vote out the PNM. We fed up on them. When UNC win, everybody win. When UNC win, everybody win. Tell them they're not going back. PNM at a crack. They're not going back. PNM at a crack. They're not going back. PNM at a crack. They're not going back. PNM at a crack.
Hi, my name is Hannah Henry, and at the age of 12 years old, I passed for Bishop Anstey High School. At the time, I didn't have access to a laptop, and my mom couldn't afford it. But thankfully to the UNC government, I was able to have access to one, and it was so much easier to not have to worry about sending in my assignments on time. And I'm so grateful. Thanks, Auntie Cams. When UNC wins, everybody wins.